Hi, everybody. Radical Gardener. I know it looks like I have a halo. I can't help it. Anyways, it's the lighting. I'm always somewhere different in my house. Wasn't that the discussion and interview with Dave Borwick, about traditional astrology? Wasn't that fascinating? Oh my gosh. And I keep telling people I've known him for years, and there's so much of that I didn't know, and that I didn't know he knew. Uh, just wonderful stuff, really wonderful stuff. I mean, I just love the historical, um, context of how much astrology was really a part of the fabric of our history, and it's just something we never talk about. Okay, so on the third part of the four-part series, YouTube, I just can't get it loaded up. I mean, there's no reason for it, and it's on my YouTube page where I can see what's been loaded, and it's spinning, but it won't go all the way through. And I've tried 10 different times, either through iMovie or just directly to YouTube. It's just been nightmares. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do to get part three up. There's just so much information in there. I just don't want it lost. It would, if it was just me talking, fine, but it isn't, and I want to respect David's time and his knowledge. Okay, so today is Wednesday. It's raining, it's chilly, it definitely feels like fall. No bites on the house or somebody that's sort of interested, but we're very chill about it. If we move, we move. If we don't, we don't. If we spend winter here, we spend it here. We're just fine. Whatever happens, happens. Maybe we'll never sell the house. Maybe we'll sell it tomorrow. It's just whatever. It's we've got a cute little house that I love. I'm luckier than most people, and just to have a place where it's really cozy, and I have a beautiful garden. So what's there to complain about, right? Okay, so, and I said today's Wednesday and the date's October 2nd. Okay, all right, my birthday's October 11th. Okay, so here we go. Oh, and Joe and I, it was our anniversary yesterday, 25th anniversary. Yeah, lots of activity in October. All right, so the name of this is, this is from the Law Enforcement Today, and it's a great little paper website. But here's the title of this: FBI reports more people killed with knives, hammers, clubs, and even feet than rifles in 2018. So let's read it, shall we? It was just published. It's a data that the mainstream media tends to bury when it doesn't fit their agenda. According to the FBI, more than 5 times as many people were killed in 2018 by knives, clubs, and other cutting instruments than with rifles. The metrics show that there were a total of 1,515 deaths by knives or other cutting instruments last year. Compare that against 297 people killed by rifles. It's a gap that widened significantly over 2017. In that year, the FBI said nearly 4 times as many people were stabbed to death as killed with rifles. During that year, the number of murders with rifles was around 400. It gets better. More than 100 people were killed with hammers and clubs. It's not funny that people were killed, but I mean, people were killed with hammers in 2018 that were killed by rifles. There were 443 people killed with hammers, clubs, or other blunt objects. We need to point out that the data isn't just semi-automatic rifles. It's all rifles, including bolt-action, pump, or lever-action rifles as well. If you were to contrast the numbers between just semi-automatic rifles and knife homicides, the gap would be even larger. Here's another number that will blow your mind. The data also shows that in 2018 there were 672 deaths from fist, feet, and other personal weapons, which is once again more than with rifles. Feet. Okay. You better watch it, or I'm going to kill you with my foot. Yeah, you've got Democrat presidential hopeful Robert Beto O'Rourke and others. God, that guy is such a loser. Campaigning on the confiscation of AR-15s. Remember, last month during a Democrat debate, he said, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Well, first of all, you'd have to find them. And secondly, you'd have to take them. So, whatever. Numbers from the National Shooting Sports Foundation show that there are more than 16 million privately owned AR-15s in the United States. That's a lot of AR-15s. And they probably have guns that are even bigger. Let's look at the bigger picture. Based on some 2016 data, rifles are only used in a small fraction of murders committed using firearms. FBI data from that year showed that more than 7,100 people were killed using handguns, and that the vast majority of non-fatal crimes involving guns are also committed using handguns. A 2012 study offers interesting reflections by a New Jersey intelligence center which works in conjunction with the Department of Homeland Security. Semi-automatic handguns are the weapon of choice for mass shootings, the report notes. According to the CDC, in 2017, 6 in 10 gun-related deaths in the U.S. were suicides, while 37% were murders. The rest were either unintentional, involved law enforcement, or had undetermined circumstances. In 2017, gun suicides reached their highest recorded level, yet the number of gun murders remained far below the peak in 1993, when there were 18,253 gun homicides. So that's interesting. The numbers have come way down. Also, during that time, overall violent crime levels in the U.S. were much higher than they are today. So that's interesting. We're not becoming more violent. We're becoming less violent. And you know what? That goes with the Great Awakening, the consciousness. But we're told all the time about all these different shootings when really it's actually getting better, not worse. And although 2017 also brought the highest total number of gun deaths in America, it doesn't account for the growing population of the country. Wow, that's true. When you break that down on a per capita basis, we're talking about 12 gun deaths per 100,000 people in 2017, the highest rate in more than 2 decades, but still well below the 16.3 gun deaths per 100,000 people in 1974. Well, I know Detroit was not cool to live downtown Detroit where I lived, and there was a lot of gun violence. That was 1973. The highest rate in the CDC's online database. So suicides have long accounted for the majority of U.S. gun deaths. Okay, let's dive further into that. Both the gun murder and gun suicide rates in America are both below where they were in the mid-1970s. In 2017, there were 4.6 gun murders per 100,000 people, considerably below the 7.2 per 100,000 people in 1974. So we just keep going over and over. It's lower now than it ever has been, not higher. The overarching idea behind the gun control debate is this: the left wants to take away every last ability for citizens to defend themselves. Don't believe me? Keep reading. Last week, the U.S. House Judiciary Committee held a 3.5-hour hearing entitled Protecting America from Assault Weapons. Oh, give me a break. That hearing covered issues that were framed to overlook the false narrative that Americans need protection from inanimate objects and not from violent people with criminal tendencies. So, you guys, I just see the humor and everything. Yeah, let's talk about how we have to be protected from inanimate objects. Oh my God, I love how that's worded. People who will use anything and everything at their disposal to carry out their violent plans. The hearing also revealed the true agenda of the Democratic leadership, which was to lay out arguments in favor of the repealing of the Second Amendment, the illegalization of weapons ownership, and the left's complete refusal to engage in useful conversation regarding how Congress must attack the issue of gun safety. So, easily the most eye-opening claim of the proceedings came when Dr. Rachel Brackney, chief of the Charlottesville Police Department in Virginia, responded to a question from Representative Jim Seisenbrenner, Republican from Wisconsin, about whether she would support a ban on hunting rifles. I believe any weapon that can be used to hunt individuals should be banned, Brackney replied. What? Her statement seemed to indicate that she'd be open to the banning of all firearms and more specifically all weapons. So for those keeping score at home, there's a list of items that would also need to be banned according to the good doctor. Guns, knives, vehicles, baseball bats, fire rocks, ropes, screwdrivers, hammers, hands, the list goes on and on. While Brackney did not actually call for a ban of these other items, that is essentially what she is doing in using such careless language. So according to the NRA, Dr. Brackney was given 2 opportunities by pro-gun committee members to walk back or provide more context for that statement. Instead, she dug in and reiterated the statement. Republican Greg Steube asked her directly, okay, so then you stand for the proposition to ban any type of firearm because any firearm can be used and misused to kill people. Rather than answering the question directly, God forbid, Dr. Brackney began talking about police and the social contract. What? Representative Steube tried asking again, only be interrupted by an anti-gun committee member who tried to raise a point of order. She claimed that Representative Steube was attacking the witness, when in fact he was merely trying to get a straight answer, and requested that he tone down his words, or he might shoot her. That exchange took up most of Steube's remaining time for questioning, which was not reinstated. Again, Steube tried to clarify, asking, any type of weapon that can be used to kill people should be banned? And then the response, sir, Brackney replied, you're adding the word type. I said any weapon, so that's my answer, thank you. Oh my God. It goes on and on. It's a great article. And it really puts it in perspective. So this is good, if you have friends or family members that like to tell you, how dangerous guns are. And I've always said, if you take away the guns, they'll pick up knives. If you take away the knives, they'll pick up clubs. If you take away the clubs, they'll pick up stones. Have you heard of stoning people to death in third world countries? Come on. Where they don't have anything else. So, and if you don't have that, then they're going to smack you around. It doesn't stop anything. So anyways, and we're talking about, we live in a country, and finally we're not in a major war, we're in conflicts now, and I see an end to that. But you're living in a country where there was just nonstop war, and they're telling you not to be violent, right? Okay. No problem. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. I love you all. I'll get back. Oh, I'm going to do my seeds tomorrow. So we'll talk about seeds, what seeds I want to reorder, and I'm going to share that with you, what I thought it did great. So I got that all together. So I'm really excited to get to that and really get organized and organize my seeds so that I can store them in my freezer, and I'll show you how I do that. Okay, everybody. So Radical